there's a ton of noise out there. So how do you get decision makers to pay attention to your brand? Start a podcast and invite your ideal clients to be guests on your show. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to B2B Growth. I'm Logan Lyles with Sweetfish Media. Today, I'm joined by Charlie Bales. He's the founder over at CB Supplements. Charlie, how's it going today, man?
Good. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Our mutual friend, Eric Sharp over at ProtoFuse connected us. He is a great guy. Any friend of Eric's is a friend of mine, and I'm excited to be chatting with you today, man. As people listening to this, at least if they hear it when this episode first drops, it's early part of January. They've got New Year's resolutions on the mind. So it's an interesting time to talk about health. It's not, a common subject that we hit on here in our marketing and sales focus show on B2B Growth, but we're going to be talking about health as it relates to your work life, as it relates to, especially if you're part of a high growth team. As we jump into this, for a little bit of context, Charlie, I would love for you to share with listeners a little bit about yourself and what you and the team at CB Supplements are up to, man.
Sure. So a little bit about me. I'm a dad. I got 3 kids, ages 6, 4, and 5 months, and I have a really good wife. So that occupies a lot of my time. I'm a CrossFitter. So yes, I'm one of those crazy people that likes to throw weight around. I've been an athlete my whole life. So I just can't let that piece of me go. And I started this little supplement company because I'm extremely passionate about health and want to spread the message to as many people as I can.
Yeah, man, we're going to come back to that passion piece as we get into today's topic. Tell us a little bit, just for context, CB Supplements, what do you guys do?
Yeah, great question. All we do right now is sell collagen, specifically multi-collagen protein powder, because we're a small little business. There's me and 2 other partners, Eric, that you mentioned earlier. So we don't have a ton of payroll, overhead, all that. It's just 3 guys trying to sell a really good product. So we're looking to expand that. We're going to add to the product line in 2020 more than likely. But right now we just sell multi-collagen protein powder, which is pretty special. I'm sure we'll get to talk about why.
Yeah, everybody's got that simple start to their growth story. As we jump into today's topic, connecting, the topic of health for leaders as well as individual contributors on teams, and how that can play to overall productivity on your team and your career path. Give us a little bit more background, Charlie. Why is this a topic that you're so passionate about? And I'm sure what was part of the reason that you founded CB Supplements, man.
Yeah. So it goes back to those 3 little kids that I was talking about earlier. That's the main reason. When I started having kids, and you have the responsibility to oversee the life of someone else, not just yourself, your outlook completely changes. So with our first child, my daughter Vivian, who's a 6-year-old, she was a healthy kid, but she got sick a lot. And we did what everyone does. You go to the doctor, you follow their advice. She was told at a very young age that she has asthma, which was debilitating on my wife and I, because when she got sick, which was about once every month, it would just knock her out for a week. She'd be on really harsh meds, steroids, breathing treatments, you name it. And we were just doing what the doctor said, and we saw her health actually get worse. Her behavior deteriorated like crazy. So I just jumped online, Googled, how do I fix this? And, here we are 4 years later with having a supplement company. There's a long story in those 4 years of just kind of discovering health. And really that that's why we're here. My other two sons, Finn and Banks, have benefited from my wife and I's want to try to cure my daughter of her ailments. And I would say we've been pretty successful because she's 6 years old now. She's extremely well behaved. She's a beautiful child. She hardly ever gets sick. And she's been on an inhaler like 3 times in the past 2 years. And I had 2 pulmonologists telling me she'd be on an inhaler every day the rest of her life. So why is that important to your listeners? Because I am a vice president of human resources for my day job, and I'm the founder of a supplement company. So why is your child's health important? Because that has a huge impact on your work performance and on your personal health. So I'm happy to jump more into that if you'd like, but whatever you think we should go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we go home to our families and we are, we're remiss to think that there is this dividing line between, I can be successful at work or I can be successful at home, and they don't impact one another. There are many more dynamics at play there. I mean, the part I love about your story is that, your daughter goes from being pretty severely sick once a month to the status that you're talking about here. And I think whether it's the health of our families, ourselves, or the teams that we lead, there are some drastic impacts as we look at, our own success in our career journeys and our company's success. As you and I were chatting offline, Charlie, you shared some pretty staggering statistics in the connection between health and productivity. And I think no matter where you are, the size of the team that you lead, the size of the organization, whether it's a 3-person startup or, a 3,000-person company, there are some things that you can share if we kind of step back and look at the landscape a little bit and some of the surprising stats. So I think I'd love to hear your perspective there, man.
Yeah, sure. So whether you're a marketer, a startup founder, a CEO, you're going to have to deal with human resources. Surprising as it is, that's my day job. So how does health impact HR? Well, I forget the exact numbers, but there's a couple of really good articles. Forbes wrote one a couple of years ago that tried to document the amount of money this country loses every year on employee lack of productivity. So how they came up with that number, which was close to $500 billion annually, was a couple $100 million in workers' comp claims, which everyone deals with in today's world, a couple $100 million in health insurance claims that can be traced back to stress as a leading cause of that health ailment, which we all know that work is a huge source of stress. And then another couple $100 million of legal claims that had to be paid based on wrongful terminations, discriminatory actions, sexual harassment, you name it, where a lot of those things are not done. I can't tell you the type of person that does those things, but I can tell you the type of person who doesn't do a lot of those things. And that's somebody who is happy, healthy, engaged in their personal life, has work-life balance. So that's where my day job and my fun time job with CB Supplements kind of hit each other at a crossroads, that if people could just put a little more attention, I know we all hear it, like meditate every day, have a Bible study, eat healthy, jog, run, whatever. Just do something to catapult the health of yourself, and it will have impacts in every other phase of your life.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So where I'd like to take it from here is, we have some folks listening to this that lead a marketing team, or they lead a sales team, or they're like yourself, they're a founder at some stage, or maybe they happen to be an HR leader. I don't know, but someone responsible for a team in the workplace. A lot of us responsible for teams outside the workplace as well. But as they look at, either kind of shifting towards a culture where health is important, it is valued, people are encouraged to take time for self-care. What are some of the things that you recommend, either if that comes from your day job, or if that comes from, your chats with other founders as you've been on your own startup journey? I would love to hear your advice for leaders as they take, these sobering realities that you're talking about and try to make something different within their own teams.
So before I give any piece of advice, I would ask your listeners to just accept the idea that whether you're the leader of the team or you're just part of the team, you are a leader. And leaders need to be followed by their peers. And who's going to follow a leader that doesn't walk the walk and invest in themselves? Lead your team and lead by example. So if you can understand that, then let's talk how can we get that in place. So my advice would be just put health as a priority. Everybody, if for some reason in this country, we love the boss that works overtime. We love the boss that works during lunch hour or skips lunch or doesn't have time for people, just work. And I get that. We're a country that is all about the results and fast results. But usually when people do that, they're sacrificing a huge piece of their life, and that's health. A lot of people sacrifice their marriage. A lot of people sacrifice other things. I'm just going to specifically talk about health. And then I would ask, kind of a rhetorical question. What's the point of creating an unbelievable company to make a ton of money when you're going to have to spend all that money to regain your health in your 40s and 50s, if you even get the opportunity to do that, which very few people sell a multi-million-dollar company or demand a salary of that amount. So, I would just ask, as we enter into the new year of 2020, look at your health. Look at, is that a good perception that you're putting out to your team? Do they respect that? Because if we're all going to follow a boss that has their health in order, that puts a priority on it, because it gives us the freedom to do it ourselves. So if the leader doesn't do it, it's very hard for the team to follow in those footsteps. And if you're looking for one particular thing to do to invest in yourself, there are so many things to do it. Go to bed earlier, drink more water, eat a high-fat, low-carbohydrate diet. Yeah, there's a controversial statement, but whatever. Put a scoop of collagen in your morning coffee because it might make you feel better and help your joints and everything. Any one of those things could be the first domino. And then once you knock over that first domino, momentum starts. And then you could be like me 4 years later, that you have the supplement company. I'm in better health now than I was in my 20s when I was playing collegiate athletics. I'm in better shape and I'm stronger now in my 30s, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to most people, but it's real and anyone can do it.
Yeah, I love what your message there to leaders, and start with your own self-care and start with your own prioritization of health before you do anything to kind of push that out to your teams. On kind of that second phase, if folks listening to this have kind of, all right, they've started to make some steps there and they want to prioritize health for their team. As an HR leader, I imagine you've seen, HR organizations or just companies at large do some tactical things to not just say we care about health, but to make it easier for their employees to prioritize it. For anyone sitting in one of those seats listening to this, Charlie, what would be your recommendation on, a couple of things they can do to help their team prioritize health, leading by example, but then other ways they can give their team some easy wins or some easy opportunities?
Yeah, great question. Just support them and give them the time necessary to invest in themselves. And for a lot of people, that's going to mean reevaluating work schedules, priorities, how people can take breaks, what they can do during the workday to take care of themselves, both from a nutritional standpoint, a metabolic standpoint, a clinical standpoint. So going to the certain doctors that they need to get to. But that's the main issue, is that most employers are so demanding of time that you have to do this during these hours that it leaves members of the team no time to invest in themselves. That's why if you go to the gym, it's a ghost town from 8 to 5. It's crazy from 5 o'clock on and sometimes in the morning. But some of the things that we've done at the company that I worked for is just give people time and give them support. And not everyone's going to jump head over heels to invest in their health. And that's okay, because we want to meet people where they are. We want to Just invite them on the journey and come along at your own pace. And really, that's how we operate at CB Supplements too. We're not the company that's going to say, take our collagen, it's the fountain of youth, and it's going to fix all your problems. That would be a lie. What we're going to tell people is that we are a great first domino. We have a really good product that actually works. It can bring you really good results, and it can help you get to the next step. It might help you feel better to go to the gym more. It might help you. It might help your skin, which gives you more confidence in a meeting because you just feel better about yourself. It might help your digestive system, which is being, pulverized day in and day out by the standard American diet. So there's a lot that an employer can do, but to distill it down to two words: support and time.
Yeah, I really like that, man. On a different topic, right? One of our core values here at Sweetfish, I'm actually wearing a shirt that's sporting it. Folks can't see it, but you can, Charlie. Never stop learning. And we're going through a process right now where having people track their time, not to be maniacal about time tracking, but to give us some insight into where we're spending time, how much time per client, and be able to analyze how we're spending time and give people more direction based on those analytics. And one of the things is we were trying to make it easy for people to be able to track and log their time. We've got to give them very easy buckets to be able to drop it in, not like, oh, I've got to say I spent 5 seconds on this email, da, da, da. Okay, so it's a lot of background. But in one of those conversations, our founder, James, said, well, we don't have a bucket for never stop learning. So if people are spending work time to invest in themselves on a learning front, much like you're talking about on a health front, we need to show that tactically that you can spend time on this on work. And we want you to track when you do that and count that as work hours. And so to me, that was from James a very tactical way of living out what you're talking about here, to give people time, in this case, for professional development, much in the same way. Those sorts of things that if you think about the systems that you have in place, the policies, written or unwritten, how can you influence those to give people more support and time for the thing that you're trying to prioritize, and whether that's learning or health or whatever the case might be. So just a quick example from our team I thought that I would share there. You mentioned also, Charlie, looking at founders and leaders that burn the candle on both ends and their eyes are always bloodshot and they're working through lunch. We've got a great episode previously that our founder, James, I'm going to give him a lot of props today. And the title of that episode was Stop Wearing Busy as a Badge of Honor. And I think that is something that goes hand in hand with what you're talking about here today. So I'm going to make sure that we link to that in the show notes. Charlie, if anybody listening to this would like to stay connected with you, you're obviously a smart, thoughtful guy doing some cool stuff, or they want to learn more about CB Supplements, what's the best way for them to reach out, stay connected with you, or learn more, man?
Yeah. So our website is cbsupplements.com. And my email is charlie@cbsupplements.com. So pretty simple. We love to talk to people. We love to answer questions. We're pumping out some really good content, addressing some of the questions around, can collagen be heated? What does it do to fasting? All of these things that impact our product that people just don't know the answer to. So we're looking to become one of the main content drivers of the collagen industry. And if I can comment on James's episode, because I went back and listened to that one, and I love his illustration of the badge of honor of busy. That's exactly what we're trying not to be at CB Supplements. Because if you overwork yourself, if you spend too much time doing things that are just unnecessary, as Tim Ferriss says, are you working or are you being productive? Huge difference. The results are crazy. So, thank you for letting me go back and comment on that. But just back to CB Supplements too, that we really believe in our product. Like I said earlier, it's not the fountain of youth. It's not the silver bullet, but it's the first domino. And what I'd ask the listeners of this podcast to really take seriously, and I'll give you another analogy or illustration, whatever the right word is. Think of your stovetop, and there's, let's say, 4 burners on there. Okay. 1 burner is your health, 1 burner is your job, one burner is your family, and 1 burner is your social time. And you can only have 2 on. So you can only turn 2 of them on. Most people are immediately going to rule out the health one. And I would ask you, reconsider that. because the health one actually impacts the other three. And, so hopefully that will resonate with some people. We would love to keep the conversation going. Reach out to us. If anyone would like to purchase the product, I know that we talked about putting a coupon code out there. So the coupon code is GROWTH, and that will take $5 off your purchase. We'll have that live up in time for the release of the podcast. And we look forward to, chatting with anyone who wants to talk, of course, all things collagen, but really we're just interested in health in general. Yeah. That's our ultimate goal.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, making it easy for folks to take that next step, kind of like Dave Ramsey talks about your finances, right? It's about that momentum. It's part of the reason he recommends like tackling your smaller debts first, even though it might make numeric sense to tackle your higher interest rate stuff, because we're creatures of habit. It takes, building momentum to dissuade that inertia that's kept us, sitting, to go back to, another health thing. We won't get into the sitting is the new smoking and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, for folks that want to take that step with you guys, they can go to cbsupplements.com, promo code GROWTH, GROWTH. Make it nice and easy for folks. Charlie, this was great conversation, man. I really appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor, and I hope that your listeners got something good out of it.
Yep. Here's to a happy and healthy 2020, man.
Amen, brother. Thank you.
We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big Three, a no-fluff email that boils down our 3 biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.